Happy New Year's, everybody. And this is really a Happy New Year's because the Clippers got their New Year's win against the Brooklyn Nets, and this takes the throne on the best Clippers game as of right now in this season because Clippers have had a lot of high morale victories. We beat the Suns and we beat the Celtics. While both being depleted. But this one, it just takes the mountain, takes the sky, or takes the space, whatever y'all want to say. But anyways, the Clippers basically everybody was injured. Like at least was back, but even Luke Kennard, he got protocol, that's pretty horrible. And I pray to goodness the NBA does not cancel the season because I do not want another NBA bubble, and it will be pretty depressing. I just want a normal season. NBA Finals in June. Clippers win the championships and everything like that. I do not want no bubble. No, no, no. But anyways, the Nets, they have James Harden and Kevin Durant, two bona fide superstars, and the Clippers basically their lineup was Bledsoe, Reggie, Ibaka, um, Terrence Mann, and Amir Coffey. And basically, the the Clippers, they kept fighting. Like first quarter, it was pretty much competitive, like pretty much like a lot of times. But the second half, the Nets, they kind of had their moments. Third quarter, they had their moments, but the Clippers showed like a good amount of resilience. And first, I'm gonna break down each player. Eric Bledsoe, major shout outs to you because sorry for my hiccups again. Sorry for my hiccups, but Eric Bledsoe, he dropped 27 points. He really dropped 27 points. Major shout outs to you. And he was literally, and his 3-point percentage, like his 3-point shooting improved a lot. Like, look, I had a lot of lows with Bledsoe, but Bledsoe, right? Because especially when we traded Patrick Beverley for Eric Bledsoe, like much love to Pat Bev, he'll always be in my heart. But Bledsoe, I'm not gonna lie, he was balling out. He dropped 27 points, and if anything, because I don't know if y'all know, but like Eric Bledsoe's nickname was quote unquote mini LeBron, like back in the past. And if anything, this shows this shows why Eric Bledsoe is so-called nicknamed mini LeBron because they have a lot of similar traits. Um, so let's just break down on each category and a disclaimer. LeBron is a whole new is a whole different player compared to Eric Bledsoe. I'm not trying to say Eric Bledsoe is good as LeBron, but I guess, but because some people say Eric Bledsoe is a mini LeBron, so of course I'm gonna just break down a comparison because first of all, 3-point shooting, it's strikingly like really similar because um, three point 3-point shooting, it's not their best strength. It's somewhat inconsistent. Of course LeBron probably can probably shoot better than Eric Bledsoe, but I mean LeBron did shooting threes from this year. It's not like it was always somewhat his weakness. Like of course he has his moments, and Eric Bledsoe is pretty similar. Some games he's a brick, and a lot of time, but lately he's been getting pretty consistent from the threes. Like he actually, starts to make some threes, and that's a really good thing. And let's go on. Basically athleticism slash body build. They both have similar body types. they're both similarly athletic, especially Eric Bledsoe, because that one hustle play he did, he literally jumped up and got a nice rebound, I believe with one hand or something like that, or two hands, I forgot. And that was when the Clippers gained momentum, and it just jacked up the Clippers' momentum. So that's a really good thing. So that's two. Um, what else could I say? I mean, defense. Um, Eric Bledsoe has solid defense. LeBron's defense, it could swing. Sometimes his defense, like right as of right now, at least I don't know from what I've seen from some people. Hear from some people. Some say LeBron's not the best at defense. Some say LeBron's good at defense, and yeah, that's what they're similar about. And like I said, like if anything, this game showed why Eric Bledsoe is so-called nickname Mini LeBron. And yeah, he dropped 27 points. He was making threes. He was doing everything. Like he was hustling. Like he was the reason why we beat the Nets tonight. And major props to Eric Bledsoe. Just major props to him. And now we're gonna go on Reggie Jackson. Reggie Jackson, welcome back. Glad to see him play again. He was getting shots, making buckets, and just being Action Jackson. Of course, he had some hiccups of having a bit low IQ plays, but I guess it happens. But that's you always have strengths and weaknesses, and Reggie Jackson's strengths outweighs the weaknesses by a lot. And Reggie was another player that I had my lows with, especially like last season, until he proved himself in the playoff that he's a really capable player. So, like I said, good stuff. Reggie, glad it was a big relief that he was able to play good. Serge Ibaka, it was just not his night. He was not able to make any shots. He only had 4 points, but he did grab some rebounds. But Brian Shaw pretty much went small ball for the majority of the game, or he put in Wagyu and Gabriel at center. Um, Terrence Mann, he brought in the energy. He was playing his tail off throughout the whole game, and he hit a big time dagger throughout during crunch time, which pretty much made us beat the Nets. So Terrence, great stuff. Terrence is a prime example on that you always you don't have to be a certified superstar to be good for the team. Like you could be a role player, but you could be a big contributor for the team, and you can do that by bringing energy, bringing defense, playing your heart out basically, and that's what Terrence always does. So that's why Clippers, Terrence Mann is the Clippers for life. And Amir Coffey, on the other hand, Amir Coffey, major props to him too, because for the past 2 weeks, Amir Coffey has shown to be, a solid player. He actually, because boy, Amir Coffey, I was really hard on him in the beginning of the season because he was getting minutes over the players, I really favored and who I still favored till this day. But I mean, basically, Ty Lue / Brian Shaw had no choice, so he played Amir Coffey. And Amir Coffey didn't disappoint too much because he grabbed rebounds and his playmaking, he got 5 or 6 assists, I believe, that's actually pretty solid. And I believe he scored 11 points. So again, he's one of those that he doesn't make really much low IQ plays, but he's but again, he's what? How can I put this? Um, he doesn't really do too much. He is on a mediocre side, but sometimes he could be a somewhat decent contributor. And look, I had to give Amir Coffey the props today because again, his defense is pretty much above average, or I should say good actually, because I believe he held his own against Kevin Durant. People who guarded Kevin Durant was Winslow, Amir, and pretty much yeah. And And I believe Amir did his thing, and he did pretty solid. So I got to give him major props. And then pretty much, who else got pretty much talk about? Pretty much basically our 10-day contract. So let's start with James Ennis. From my impression, James Ennis, he shows that he's a solid rebounder. He's pretty athletic. Um, he's a pretty good slasher. I have yet to see him make a three, but again, he's a solid 10-day contract player. And in my opinion, he's a capable NBA player. He did that one that travel was pretty funny. Like he did it was like a 4 steps, and everybody was laughing. The whole entire Nets bench was laughing, but hey, it counted, so that was pretty good. Um, and then Xavier Moon. He I mean he doesn't really put up big numbers and doesn't really do too much, but at least the good part is he doesn't really mess up too much. He's really quick. He shows capability of being a solid playmaker, which is that's a pretty good thing. But again, like he doesn't really like there's not really too much too special that he does other than putting a body on a depleted team. But again, I'm glad that he's a solid contributor. Like he doesn't really do too much mistakes, so that's a pretty good thing about Xavier Moon. And then last but not least, Wagyu and Gabriel. So we just signed him on a 10-day contract, I believe, yesterday, and he kind of somewhat impressed me because his 3-point shooting is pretty good. He can work on his free throws. Um, his defense was solid. It was not the worst, but it was pretty solid. So again, that's my reviews on the 10-day contract players and Justice Winslow. Now I'm gonna talk about Justice Winslow. His defense was like that's one of his biggest strengths. His defense is pretty solid. But I know a lot of Clippers in my conversations they don't like Winslow, and I totally understand that. But I have a little soft spot for Winslow, but like I said, I totally understand why people don't like Winslow because his shooting is just, it's just not the, it was just, not really good, unfortunately. He did made some air balls. Um, I forgot how many points he had, but I did see him make a bank shot, so I gotta give props to that. And he shows signs that not in this game, but overall that he can somewhat be the point guard of the team, but Winslow definitely needs to work on shooting though. Like that's all what he definitely needs to work on. And then Keon Johnson, he did not play too many minutes tonight, unfortunately, but I mean he got um I believe 4 rebounds, 3 assists, and he only scored 1 point, which is again like same with Serge Ibaka. It was not Keon Johnson's night. He didn't really do too much, and that was pretty unfortunate. But I just he didn't get as much minutes as I would want him to because, in my opinion, Keon Johnson defense is really good. In my opinion, it's like you could call me reaching all you want, but his defense was like it was pretty somewhat near Gary Payton's because because Keon's defense is really darn good. I believe when he played defense on Harden, I believe he definitely held his own considering he is James Harden. And pretty much I believe that's all I got for on the Clippers side. Now I'm gonna talk a little bit on the Brooklyn Nets. James Harden, he got a nice stat line. I believe he scored 30 points. He was being James Harden, and he got a good amount of assists too, and I believe he leads the league in assists and shout out to James Harden though, because his assists pretty much, like, I mean 9 assists though, and basically people were calling Harden like a ball hog in the past. And what I think about James Harden, I'm not gonna give too much opinions, but I'm just say what I see, and he's a solid passer. And then Kevin Durant, he was being Kevin Durant, but I believe it was more on of his off nights because the defense we played on Kevin Durant, and that's a really good thing. Nick Claxton was a pretty solid piece. LaMarcus Aldridge, like glad to see him playing the league again. He's also another solid player. Like he can make shots. He even did that one fadeaway against Ibaka, but that was a travel. So yeah, so again, that's pretty much what happened throughout the game, and it's a really great win. Like hopefully we can start winning down the stretch, and we pretty much hold our own because I mean, and then last thing I'm gonna say about it is Brian Shaw. Like I'm glad he could hold his own. Like it's too early to say on what on how good Brian Shaw is, but we almost beat the Raptors while being depleted, and we really beat the Brooklyn Nets, like with KD and Harden, and we're pretty much like a 7-8 man roster, and we still beat them. So again, it was a pretty good win, whether it's Brian Shaw's or not. But I mean, maybe he instilled the toughness and all stuff. But let me know in the comments on what y'all think about Brian Shaw. Is he a good coach? I'm sure a lot of y'all gonna say he's a pretty good coach, and I honestly kind of agree because we beat the Brooklyn Nets. But again, that'll pretty much wrap up the video. And please let me know what you think on the game overall, and pretty much Happy New Year's.